welcome back. It is a Money Monday indeed, and when Frankie Morano's not here and you kick off your week with Tim Collins, that's about as money as it gets. And all voices are heard on this show. We bring on the guests that know where the rubber meets the road. They have their own opinions and thoughts, and we like to put them all out there, throw them out there, duke it out, slug it out. We shake hands, we part friends. You make the call, and your vote is the only one that matters, and you can decide at the ballot box whose opinions were right. My opinion is the market is in a nice recovery mode today, up about 30 points, with the Dow shaking off some morning geopolitical fears. It was down almost 250 at one point this morning, and Bitcoin is just about break even today at 8,200. So it's a decent day for both the market and Bitcoin. More than decent, even great. When I have to fill Frankie's shoes, and I want one of my favorite Republicans, I go to Jadan Horyn. I got to put two of my feet in his shoe to fill his shoes. But thanks for joining me, pal. It's always great to have you here. And,
absolutely, pleasure.
And filling in for Frank is a tough task, but I know you're up to it. You are a contributor to Metropolitan Magazine. You're a conservative columnist. You recently wrote an article on Melania, who's one of the most maligned people in politics as far as first ladies go. But right now, today, I know you wanted to talk about how there's a messaging crisis going on in the White House. What's happening? It has been a little muddled of late. I got to give you that.
Well, first, I mean, we have the crisis going on with the White House messaging on Ukraine. And so they march out, White House Chief of Staff, former Congressman Mick Mulvaney, who should, based on the fact that he has been a congressman and he has done press conferences and he has done interviews, should know how to take questions. And for whatever reason, he goes out on a press conference and says that there are 3 reasons that the Trump administration talked to the president of Ukraine. And then yesterday, with his interview with Chris Wallace, he says there are 2 reasons. And so what we have now is Chris Wallace then saying, wait, hold on. You say there's 3 reasons. Right. He lists them. One of them is EU nation funding. Mm-hmm. The second one is supposed to be anti-corruption initiatives. And then he lists a third one in that White House press conference where he says that President Trump specifically asked about the DNC investigation.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a problem, right? Well, that's a problem because that's what the Democrats said he said, and that's not what he actually said when you look at the transcripts.
Okay.
So Mulvaney misspoke.
Yeah.
But rather than own that, he comes out on this interview with Chris Wallace and says, no, I only said 2 things. So Chris Wallace calls him out and says, well, hold on. You said 3 things. So which is it? Is it 3 or is it 2? So what we have is we have a White House that essentially is hanging out, Mick Mulvaney out to dry. Yep. That's a problem. Because now we have a White House Chief of Staff whose job it is to protect the president, going out and taking interviews because, they lost their good person, right? Like they lost Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who could handle the media, was incredible. And now, they're marching out, Mick Mulvaney for whatever reason, and he's stepping all over it and essentially giving fodder to Democrats, saying that the White House was politicizing the entire process with Ukraine. So we have this crisis of messaging out of the White House. As a former comms director, that worked on Capitol Hill, I'll say this: the number one thing you do not want to do is misspeak to the press for your boss and put them in a negative position, and then come out and continue to do interviews on behalf of your boss where you step in it even more. What the White House should do is take Mulvaney off the interview circuit, lock it down, and say, look, he misspoke. He wasn't fully informed of the information. This is what actually happened, and this is what the administration is going to do about the Democrats' witch hunt. As opposed to this interview circuit disaster. This interview yesterday was a disaster.
I'm with you. So, and I would just say this also. One of the other things the White House may want to think about. I didn't mean that, but the pen was lined up perfectly for the Make America Great Again. But one of the things the White House may want to think about doing is stop letting people go on with Chris Wallace. because Chris Wallace was, you know, a great conservative voice apparently for years. But now that management over at our competitor Fox News is moving in a leftward direction, it seems like Chris Wallace thinks it's his job now to take Republicans to task on top of task, and maybe send some of these people our way where we'll give them a fair hearing and not try to make points with our bosses. And Chris Wallace has really turned, Jaden. I don't know if you've noticed it, but he's been beating up Republicans lately.
I mean, I'll say this. So, you know, it is certainly the media's job to be a third check. You know, the election is a check. The people are a check on the representatives. At the same time, I think gotcha interview styles are problematic. And, you know, if Mulvaney did misspeak, he should have admitted it. And then Wallace should have let it go. I mean, if you watch the interview, it's like 15, 20 minutes long. And for 10 minutes, it is literally just pounce upon pounce upon pounce. So, you know, hey, they should definitely come over here and talk to you.
Yeah.
You'll give them a fair shake. I mean, you don't agree with everything the administration does,
This is the fairest shaker on television right here, pal. If you can't get a fair shake out of this bad boy, you're not going to get one. But maybe they should also think about bringing in Jadan Horyn to help them with their comms and messaging. You know, he's pretty good messaging guy.
I'm available.
And I got to tell you, he's tremendous. I mean, the guy's a mammoth. He looks like a Division I football player or something. So if the messaging is off, he may be able to get somebody in a headlock or something to straighten out the messaging.
Well, you know, if I'm on screen, they have to zoom out that camera because otherwise I'll take up the whole screen, right? You know,
exactly. He puts a new definition to the term wide shot. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that he's overweight or anything. The guy's a monster. Wide shot on me is because of overweightness, but you're quite fit, my friend. And he's always dressed so debonair that I heard he's coming on. I got to break out with my best stuff to keep up with him. You're tough.
Look, yeah, today I represent the purple people.
That's right. And
you know, I was looking in my closet. I was like, I have purple. I'm purple. John's gonna love that, right? I come up here, even though I'm the conservative commentator. I'm gonna come on. I'm gonna represent the viewpoints. I'm gonna be fair and be hard and be fair. You know.
I appreciate that. And the one place that I typically don't have to compete with Frankie is in fashion, because he's typically horribly matched, and
that's true.
To the point where...
But you're always dressed well.
That's what I'm saying. That's the one thing I usually have over him, is I don't have to worry him outdoing me with his outfits. Now you, on the other hand, I got to worry about it. So there's always challenges with these co-hosts, let me tell you. But Jadan Horyn's always there for us, and you know, insightful, thoughtful, and practical conversation is what happens here on this show. And the greatest of guests, another one of my money men on a Money Monday. When you're watching Liquid Lunch, this is what you get. It's real people, it's real talk, it's real thoughtful conversation. And aside from just having great talk and great conversation, one of our big sponsors, Question Tequila, sent down the big boss man, Lenny, who's over there. So I'm going to have to wave around this bottle going out of this segment just to make sure that he stays happy with me also, because I have him and Jaden mad at me. I got problems. You got no problems, because coming up next is Marjorie Greene. She's a Republican candidate in Georgia's 6th District. She's going to talk to us about how she plans on helping the Republicans take back the House. You're watching Liquid Lunch on NEWSMAX.